Listen, everyone's complaining about the prices just going up and up and up, but they're not doing anything about it, right? So the prices are too damn high, right? But now what? Now what? We're going to find a way to offset our costs by learning how to generate income very reliably, very strategically, without any potential high risk, right? We're going to learn high probability trading and we're going to go through exactly what that means. So let me just go ahead and close some windows because that was part of the problem. And I just want to make sure that, there we go. Um, okay, should be good to go. If you are in here and you cannot hear me, let me know. If you are in here and you're watching after the live, do me a favor, fast forward, put it on, not fast forward, put it on a higher speed replay, and you'll get through it quicker. But today we are going to talk about mastering high probability trades in order to generate income and offset these high grocery prices. Okay. We just came off of a webinar earlier today and it was pretty spectacular. Half the class is full. And so I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to try to get in before that happens. Everyone in the Gym Nation, pretty much. But if you are in here watching, go ahead. I already started with the link in the chat. But what I'm going to do now is just walk you through exactly what I'm talking about. Because I know some of y'all are like, what you talking about? Long story short, there are high probability trades that can stack the odds in your favor, and they have stood the test of time as reliable sources of income, right? Reliable ways to create sources of income in the stock market. And what this course is about is actually high probability trading. I once again wanted to focus on this as part of the listen, we got to stop complaining and we got to start doing for ourselves. There is a blueprint that is out there that some of us have never been exposed to. Some of us have been exposed to it, but because of fear or misconceptions, chose not to participate. And what are some of the misconceptions about trading stocks? I'm not talking options, but trading stocks, equities, ETFs to generate income. One, you need a lot of money to do so. And that's false. Oh, it's better to buy and hold. So, yeah, you buy, you invest in your 401k, and you don't touch it till you're 65, 67, whatever the retirement age is now, 75. It will soon be 80, 90, right? Why not do both, right? You can do long term investing and you can do short term trading. And truth be told, if you listen to these finance shows, right? You hear them talking about it all the time. They buy low, they sell. I mean, yeah, they buy low, they sell high, they wait for the dip, they buy again. It's trading. And trading is okay as long as you know what you're doing. Trading is not gambling if you know what you're doing. Will you lose all your money? Listen, you could buy a house and lose all your money. Investing in assets come with risk. But when you prepare, you strategize, you stack the odds in your favor, then those risks are mitigated, right? People think that they can get rich quick without putting in the work. Now that's gambling and that's like playing lotto, right? Or I can just listen to the news or social media and it all work out. Lots of people have tried, even more have failed. Or I'm too old to learn how to do this. The strategies that I'm about to share, anyone, anyone can do because they're not complex. Now, options trading, I would say if you don't have at least a year to dedicate to really understanding how to trade options and the options chain and what affects the price action and all of that, then yeah, uh, I would say don't if you don't have a year. It's doable, right? But you need at least a year to really practice, understand, trade paper money, and make sure that all of your thesis makes sense, or what you're learning makes sense. So let's debunk all those myths right here, right now. The one thing that my guy, Warren Buffett, has shared time and time again is that the risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Period, exclamation point. He also says that you do not need to be a rocket scientist to trade in the stock market or invest in the stock market. The person with the 160 IQ does not fare better than the person with the 130 IQ. It is not that serious and complex if you know what you're doing. This was a post that one of my students back in 2021 shared with me. Just wanted to say thank you again, Kim, for providing this platform so that we can all know. We can know so we mitigate those risks. Also, the thing we have to stop doing is over consuming. We complain about these prices, but let me tell you the mindset we really need to adopt, that of wealthy people who invest first and then spend what's left. Whereas, broke people, they spend, 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 spend. Most don't invest, but there are some that do invest, but they invest after they spend. No bueno. That's no bueno. Just know that everything I'm about to share is for informational purposes only. This is a disclaimer that is mandatory for any coaches. If a coach is not telling you this and they are not a fiduciary, problem, walk away. But always do your own research. And all investments carry risk. And this is based on personal experience and our personal training. So I'm going to talk about the training that Andrea and I will be hosting. But before I do that, let me introduce who the heck I am. Like, y'all may be sitting up here like, okay, training. So what? Who are you? Well, you're about to find out. So, before we get into our individual qualifications, the one thing that we want this community, our community, to set intention on is stop waiting to retire. Stop waiting for that 67, 72 age number, that time to retire, and try to focus on earning enough to retire, right? Because that's what it takes. If you are 38 and your portfolio is such that you can walk away from working, who's winning? The person who's waiting until 75 before they can start living life? And just simply, doing the bare minimum when it comes to investing. I want our intention to shift and to think about retirement. And if you are at retirement or close to it, we still have to plan for the future. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Y'all know who I am for the OGs. Kim, aka Kim with the Gems, here on this channel. Y'all know I am unapologetic about my community and the information and the guidance that I try to provide through fiscal information, through wellness information, through travel, all of those things. And there's no judgment. This is not a judgment zone, because I know we have been hoodwinked and bamboozled, right? Have been hoodwinked and bamboozled. And so I really want us to, you know, understand that yes, we are behind, but we can still collectively rise higher and take action. And so this has been my area of expertise for the past 30 years. And my goal is for us to experience wealth, good health, and joy. And so anything that you find on this channel that I talk about is going to reflect that. So let's go ahead and talk about my start into the coaching space. This is a post from January 18th, 2021. And it's when I launched Investing for Independence with a mission to help at least 200 of us open their first brokerage account. And not just open, but start funding it. Um, The goal was to shift from being passive investors, like I talked about, just money coming out of check and you don't know where it's going, and you're hoping and praying that when you retire, everything is, on the up and up and your money's going to be there and you would have had a little bit of modest return. Well, no, we are going to, well, the goal was, the goal was for us to be more active investors and understanding that at that time, 84% of all stocks owned by US households were held by the wealthiest 10% of Americans. And so that needed to change. That sparked my mission to really teach what I knew, right? And from a responsible way. I started out free courses for a couple of years, just free courses on the basics of investing, and some smaller paid courses as it related to trading. But this was me in Grenada back in 2021. This was May 25th, 2020, the day after my birthday, Grenada. And guess what? Who paid for that trip? The stock market. That was, right still in the midst of the, panorama, and the mental needed to be adjusted, needed a 10-day escape, but I didn't want to pay for it. This was a pretty expensive resort. Expensive is relative, right? So it wasn't a 7-star, but it cost a pretty penny. Um, and how did I do it? I actively traded to pay for this resort. The airfare was paid for by miles. I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and make this happen. I made it happen. And even while I was there, the trading didn't stop. The planning, the um, action didn't stop. Here I am, January 2023 in Guadalajara, Mexico, in a beautiful condo that was also paid for by me trading. This was me studying in a study group while I was there, because the studying never stops. The learning never stops. And so what is it? I'm just really curious. What do you want the market to pay for? If you are in here, because I can't see the chat right now, but if you are in here and you want something to be paid for, but you don't want to pay for it, what is that? Think about it, like, really start to imagine what that looks like, and I'll give you some, let's get some thought starters, like a nice getaway. Do you want, like, a nice luxury getaway? Like, the market can really pay for that if you plan and you strategize and you make smart strategic moves. Maybe you're tired of sitting in nosebleeds, right? And you wanna sit courtside, or you wanna have backstage access to a concert, but you don't wanna pay for it, right? The market can pay for that if you make smart strategic moves. Or, oh, well, that leads me to yes. Oprah and I want to know what that is. I wanted to ask another question, like maybe it's like paying off some of these expensive items in the supermarket now, right? Maybe you decide to have a big Thanksgiving dinner. Well, it's kind of late for that. Well, it's not really late, but if you're not trading options, I would say it's kind of late for that. Um, but you don't want that to come out of your pocket, even though I'm more of a proponent on experiences over big Thanksgiving dinners if you can't afford them. But let's just say that is your goal. That's your why. Use the market to pay for that. And just know, once again, this we're not new to this. We have been trading for a long time, and we have been coaching for a long time as well. So we've coached hundreds who wanted to find their freedom, and we have the receipts to prove it. We have the receipts, y'all. And we're going to share. Well, I'm going to share who I am. Well, I shared who I am. I'm going to share who Andrea is in a second and her qualifications. But let's just get into some of the receipts. I'm not going to go through all of these. You can read them, you can screenshot them, whatever. But these are thank yous from the students in my courses starting back in February of 2021. You'll see some from 2022. There may be some from 2024. I don't know if I included those, but it's basically some passionate, um, heartfelt, like, thank you for life-changing lessons by taking these active investing courses. I also want to show that when it comes to the mindset as a coach, this is what we do. This is what I do. When people were invested in Tesla back in 2021 and they saw it had a $15 billion drop in one day, the fear kicked in, right? Tesla was the darling back then. And people that didn't know thought that was the time to run, put their head in the sand, never invest in Tesla again. But if you look at where they were then, you would know that was just, an opportunity for those who invest. Some more thank yous. I was so amped last night, Kim. I could barely sleep. Thanks for being generous with your time and knowledge. I'm ready to be woke. I'll see you for the recap. This is me talking about some of the charting that we do and the areas that I pretty much excel in, right? There are certain reliable trades that give you anywhere from a 70% to 80% probability, which those are great odds for anyone that knows about odds, right? That means out of 10 trades that you take, 7 to 8 of them will be successful if you do the proper research, have the proper strategies, and don't trade off of emotion, but you trade off of facts. And that's one of the sayings, like, feelings will never ever change facts. Facts will change feelings. you make a, you act on feelings and you see that it didn't work out. Those facts will make you, yeah, it will change feelings. So again, this was just talking about some successes that I had. And it also shows a little bit of the charting that I do or did at that time. Also, here's a screenshot of just the amount of coaching I was doing. So there was charting calls in 2022 and 2021. I was speaking at churches and online. Everything was online back then. So I got invited to speak at some online trading communities, and the underlying theme was that we had to trade with a woke mindset. And woke simply stood for wealth is obtained through knowledge, education, and then execution. You can't have a successful trading strategy without having those, that mindset. This was also a leap options class that I hosted in April, because after we did the first cohort for basics of investing, there were people that were advanced. There were people that knew about active trading. And so I hosted one of many options trading classes, but that's not what we're talking about here. So that's my background, a little insight into it as it relates to coaching and trading. Let's talk about Coach Andrea. Coach Andrea is a dynamic coach when it comes to setups and trading plans and so much more. We'll get into that in a second. But today, she's an executive talent strategist, a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, and an investor, both for herself as well as angel investing. Andrea has not only built a portable, purpose-driven career, but also helps Black people use the same strategic mindset to create options and earn from anywhere. We love that part about earning from anywhere. Right? Well, where can you do that? Like, not, you don't have to call in, you don't have to email anybody else. You just have to have the right setups, the high probability mindset, and the high probability trading strategies, and you will be okay. This was Andrea back in September 22. where she was a coach in another program, a very well-known program, and she got the question, "How would you define volatility?" And she, just like coaches do, she jumped in on the page and answered the question, and, um, was completely motivational, and she also gave an example. That's what I wanted to say. You could answer a question, but people are visual, right? A lot of people are visual. Here's another example of, her coaching expertise. She, not only notified, but raised the yellow flag on days where there was things happening in the market that we should be aware of, and such as Jerome Powell speaking, who's the Fed chair, earnings, things like that. She was always there to keep us on point. She also hosted presentations about creating a trading plan, which is, you fail to plan, you plan to fail, just that simple. And she also shared some of her winnings and success stories for investing. This is just what some of the people were saying about her. Big shout out to Andrea Henderson for stopping by the Sunday study group to chat with us about seasonality. Andrea dropped some gems, so be sure to check it out. This is Andrea hosting the VIP study group. These were people that were paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to be part of this trading community, and she was hosting the study groups in this community. This is what, again, some of the feedback from the students. The market awareness presentation by Andrea Henderson in the Back to Basics section is phenomenal. Do yourself a favor and check the calls in the curriculum. Here's some more feedback. I had such a blast yesterday for my first official day as your next Saturday VIP coach alongside Coach Andrea Henderson. Here's another one. Want to learn how to create a trading plan? Join Coach Andrea Henderson this Thursday to learn how. Now, one thing I want you to notice, she didn't just coach on Mondays. She didn't just coach on Sundays. She was coaching every day of the week. She was in such demand, and people made a lot of money based off of some of her strategies that she was going around the country, child. Here she is in Detroit. Detroit meet and greet was a success. We met 2 days in a row, first with Andrea Henderson, who dropped so many gems, and then day 2 was somebody else at the meetup. So the qualification, check. For both of us, check, check. We have been doing this. So shoot, December is when I launched my first course. So that's 5 years this December. And Andrea has been, I think, coaching um, somewhat longer. So let's talk about the actual course that we are bringing to our community. And let me just, yeah. So the HPTO course, HTPO masterclass, is really the high probability trading only masterclass. Because I've been saying it so much lately, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure also my audio is okay. But the masterclass is starting November 30th with orientation. So go ahead, get ready to, you know, have your turkey on Thursday and then get ready to start planning on Sunday. If you can't make the orientation, of course, it will be recorded. And the orientation is really just the basics. So what you need, like your resources, your tools, and we'll talk more about what that is. But let's talk about what high probability trading strategies are. And I'm going to give an example of one in a little bit. They are trading approaches designed to identify setups that historically win more often than they lose. the odds are stacked in your favor, right? Trading in the market requires two things: buying, and you want to buy low unless you're shorting, and selling, and you want to sell high unless you're shorting, which we'll learn about shorting equities and stocks as well. But we want to do it without the stress. Like options tradings can be stressful. Your stock can go up, but your contracts, the premiums for your contracts could be going down if you don't understand the entire options chain. And I'm not going to explain that here, but we're talking all the Greeks, the gamma, the theta, all the Greeks, right? And some of y'all may not even know what that means, but the options chain is comprehensive and complex, and you can't just know a part of it and expect to be successful. So we're all about stressless trading. As I quickly want to go over some frequently asked questions that I hear all the time based on the years of trading, coaching, or coaching traders, especially the beginners. Like, I'm so new to this, will I be lost? Nope, because this particular program was designed for the novice who this is their first time, or they started and they stopped and they really didn't understand it. We start with foundations, and we're going to help you build the confidence to know that this is something like it's not rocket science, y'all. It's really not. And when I learned about the high probability trading, and you'll see I have some posts from when I first started, life game changer, life changing. So, another frequently asked question: I've tried learning on YouTube and I still don't get it. Of course, you don't get it. YouTube isn't designed really to teach, it is designed just to, I'm sorry, it's set up to give you concepts, not overall strategy and execution. There are no video. I don't think I've seen one real video on YouTube besides some of the banks, like the Fidelities and stuff like that, TD Ameritrade back in the day, that would do that type of education, that would take you from concepts to execution. Um, is it worth the investment? Uh, Look, absolutely. And this is someone who's invested five figures in this, learning this strategy, but has made all that back and then some by trading in the market. So all you have to do is really follow the system, learn the setups, practice in the paper trading simulators, and stay consistent. And when you factor in high probability trading, like I said, if we're talking 70 to 80% probability, that means every 10 trades you take, the odds of you being right and making money 7 to 8 of those times is extremely high. And so once you learn this stuff, you know it forever, right? This is something that can't be taken away. And so understanding there are three primary ways to trade. And when we talk about swing trading, that's pretty much where this course, the bulk of, the trading that we do is going to be in that category. But in some instances, day trading may, present some really good results. And day trading just simply means you open up a trade in that day and you close it in the same day, either with a profit or a loss. That's considered day trading. Well, swing trading is usually longer than a day. There's some confusion about if it's 3 days or more, or I say it's more than 1 day, but most times it can be several days to weeks. And then long-term trading, defined by the IRS, is more than 365 days. But we focus on swing trading, and then if there's opportunities for day trading, we take those. What does a swing trader do? You basically rely on technical analysis more so than anything. So you look at the candles, you look at the formations, you look at the patterns, you find the um, most strategic point of entry to buy, and the most strategic point of exit where you're going to sell. And again, you're not usually doing that on a daily basis. You are setting up and you are waiting for that point of entry, and then you are getting out, soon thereafter. So it really just taps swing trading just taps into the market's natural rhythm. Every stock has a natural rhythm. I like to call it like a heartbeat. So if you've ever seen like your EKG and how the lines go up and down and hit a point and come back down, if you understand that concept, that's similar to the charts for each company. And when you understand the probability trading patterns, it makes it even more reliable. Let's just say that. And so the great thing is the success really lies in mastering just a few core techniques and staying calm under pressure. Like that emotional trading is not where we live, and we're going to talk about that too. It leads to panic, and we don't want that. So a lot of times we get asked why trade stocks over options, because I trade options as well, but I've been training since 2000, right? And so what I know for sure is that when you trade equities and stocks, you have a lower risk of total loss. With options, there's also something called time decay. So when I talked about the stock could be going up, but your premium and your investment could be going down, that could be due to time decay. And there's other factors, right, that could lead to that. But that doesn't time decay has nothing to do with trading equities. And so you equities just simply don't lose value based on time. They lose value based on other things, but not based on time. Trading stocks is simpler to understand. There's no expiration pressure like there are in options, lower volatility exposure, which Andrea defined previously, and it's volatility usually means to the downside. Um, it's easier to manage your risk, right? There's fewer ways to be wrong when you're trading solid companies with high probability strategies. And there's reduced emotional stress, period. So, HPTO trades. So, high probability trading only trades tend to fall in certain categories. Now, there's hundreds of high probability trades, but we don't need to know all of those. We focus on four. Four. Those four can also by themselves, they're high probability trades. But then when you put them together and gain confluence, it brings the probability even higher. So some of the categories that fall under high probability are the trend strategies, the breakout strategies, the pullback or retracement strategies, and the momentum strategies. You'll see reversals and volume as well. The four that we're going to focus on pretty much align with the four that were highlighted in green. The great thing is you only need to master a few. That's it. That's it. That's it. Here's my favorite. I've been mastering it for 5 years plus, got the receipts to prove it. Next year will be 6 years, and it is gap trading. So this is me posting in the charting group in October of 2020. 5 years, over 5 years now. OMG, I think I have an addiction to charting and trading the gap. Anyone else? Today's beauty is courtesy of Boeing. Boeing used to be high probability trading. I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times, unless, there was an accident, a plane, something happened with a plane. But for the most part, Boeing was a beautiful, beautiful company to trade. Also, on March 22nd, 2021, I posted, thanks so much, Eddie, for leading a brilliant study session on Saturday. We reviewed GAP's Globex charts, my favorite strategy. However, I only trade gap downs. Anyway, basically, I just want you to understand that I shared how I made $450 profit in less than 2 hours. Now, this trading strategy has been my most lucrative trading strategy, and it will be covered in the masterclass. Now, and I do want you to know all gaps are not created equal. There are different types of gaps. You could do your research about gaps. You could try to figure it out on your own. But trust me, I have tested the waters. And so, what does the high probability trading only masterclass look like? Well, it's an 8-week curriculum, and we only focus on the top probability trading strategies that you can see. The lowest that we even entertain is 65% probability. And that's considered moderately high because it's the odds are stacked in your favor. It's over 50%, right? So we're going to focus on moderately high probability trades. We're going to focus on high probability trades and my favorite, very high probability trades. And all of this represents, this is research that is above me. Like I haven't done this research, it's above me. But it represents historical performance when executed with strict confluence and discipline. We're going to learn about confluence. And not going to read all of this, but we're going to just go over the first line and you'll know what each week is going to entail. So, week 1 is orientation. That is Sunday, November 30th. And basically, you're going to get your trading toolbox, so to speak. You're going to get the foundation and parameters for the course, what you're going to need. It's not a strategy week. It's about not having confusion when we come back for week 2, which is a strategy week. And so we're just preparing. And anyone who signs up before November 30th will get the toolkit before November 30th. So the first round of people who signed up today, there were 5 people who registered today. There may be more. I don't know. What time was our webinar? 9 a.m. But they will get an email on Monday with the toolkit so they can start the process and not have to wait and take their time with it, so to speak. Week 2, we're going to learn about high probability trading strategy number 1, which you can see is a 4-star out of 5-star strategy. Week number 3 is strategy number 2, which is a 5-star trading strategy, 75 to 85%. Week number 3, probability is 4 stars, 70 to 75%. There's a typo in the next slide. But week 5 is strategy number 4. We are going to learn 4 strategies. And that's also a 4-star, 70 to 75% strategy. Then week number 6, we're going to talk about protecting your capital. You have to protect your capital, period, exclamation point. You have to have stop losses. You have to have alerts. You have to have a watch list. You have to do charting. We are going to learn that all. Then week number 7, I'm super excited about. That is where we start the execution. That is where we really start to use the simulators, right? With fake money, paper money, but we are going to really do some trading. And like I said, we're going to use high probability trades. And so if you take 10 trades that week, 7 of those at least, right? Unless you're doing the 65% strategy, 65 to 70% at minimum should go your way if you follow direction. And then week number 8, we're going to really focus on what I talked about was the confluence, right? So if we're learning 4 of the strategies, how do we blend them together with other technical analysis to get confluence, right? We're not focusing on the news, because let me tell you something, when you hear the news, by the time you hear the news, that news is a week old. The market makers, the people who move the market, have already had their plays done. And so when you're a little investor, small investor, Yeah, you get caught up thinking you're about to catch this move and the move has already been made. So we're going to learn about confluence and learn discipline. And so let's just quickly go. This is the valuation. You could take a screenshot, you could look through it later. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but it gives you a valuation of what we are going to be providing. Like I said, neither one of us are new to this at all. Neither one of us are coming in with anything other than trying to help, right? Trying to be that, you know, person that I wish, my mom had or, other people had that I knew and loved. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to take all of our expensive learning and bring it to our community. And so if you look at the total of the 8-week master course, you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot. You're also getting complimentary access in our school community for 6 months, where you're going to get not only support from us, but support from the community, the training community. There will be a certain tab, a membership tab, where you can go, you can post your charts, you can ask questions. And so you're not just hanging out there waiting for the next week for someone to get back to you, right? And so the um, additional bonus that will be added, which is in addition to the 8 weeks. After the 8 weeks, you will get another bonus live charting session. So during the 8 weeks, when we meet and we're showing you, there will be charting, right? We will discuss charting and go over charting, but there will be like about 2 to 3 hours, depending on how many students register, just charting session. So we can get your watch list set up, so to speak. And then you'll have replays for a year, right? The total value based on everything, again, I don't have to justify anything, but you can go back and look at everything that's being delivered, is $17,497 estimate. And that's not including some other things I'm about to show you that we are going to offer. Um, there are people paying 25,000 for the stuff that we are going to share with you. Trust me, I know. If you sign up, the investment is $1,297, right? Based on my valuation, based on my business coach, based on my feedback, I'm going against every recommendation that I have, right? 8 weeks, 1297, new students, high probability training course, minimum, I was told, was over 3,000. But y'all know me, I do free stuff, I do stuff with the churches, I do, blitz for 60 days straight for my community. I just want us to get right. And if you register today, well, technically, you have until Sunday at 11:59 p.m., you're gonna get $300 off. That's the early bird rate at $997 for 8 weeks of coaching, technically 9 with the bonus charting session, $997. The chart is in not the chart. The link is pinned in the chat. But if you are watching this later, you know what? Let me quickly, I'll do the QR code in a little while. I don't want to mess up the screen. But you can get the early bird rate through 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you attended, well, we won't talk about that. But after that, starting on Monday, it will be $1,297, which is still a bargain for everything that you're going to receive. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to bring up a chart and just show you. This is just quickly to show you the different payment options that you have. You can pay by credit card, Cash App, Pay, Afterpay, Klarna, Apple Pay, Bank. I think Google Pay is on there when you go onto more. And like I said, this is a small training group. Space is limited. We have the RAIN community, which is grandfathered into this training. And so we opened up 10 additional seats to be part of this community. And once those seats are gone, they're gone. Every course I do, I start off by saying I'm a 15, 16 maximum type of girl. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a team of people helping. I answer emails myself, and trust me, I get lots of them. And so we have to keep this limited. And so that's what we're going to do. So if you're interested, like I said, the link, I'm not even going to go through these because this is pretty much just regurgitating everything that you're getting, but I want you to have it. If you want to come back, stop the screen and just read it, you can do that. Um, Once again, there's the value, investment, price through Sunday, or until the last seat is taken. Now, there's a gentleman who I said I would hold a seat for. Hopefully, you're watching this. If you are, just go ahead, put your name in the chat. You will get the webinar special because um, I promised that to you. So, another thing that you're going to get if you sign up by Sunday. So Andre and I have been trading for years, right? We've each been trading between 5 and 6 years actively. We still meet every Wednesday as part of a accountability group and have been doing that since 2020, every single Wednesday. But one thing that I noticed, can deter a lot of new traders is searching for stocks that fit their budget, right? So to avoid you having to spend 5 to 10 hours a week doing research and leading to any type of frustration, what Andre and I are going to prepare for you specifically and give to you is the ready to trade watch list package. And you have to register by 11:59 Sunday. Listen, if you join the course, we will talk about certain companies. There are certain companies that we will talk about. But the advantage of having this ready to trade vetted watch list is that you'll have two watch lists designed for basically every budget. One watch list will be separated, um, high probability stocks that usually follow patterns that are under $200. Then there's another watch list that will be over $200. And so, and it will be evenly, I mean, not even, it will be just separated so that you don't have to do the research. These are already vetted, qualified companies with um, certain patterns that align with our high probability trading. And I'm going to show you one. And as soon as I get through this, I'm almost done. We're going to bring up a chart. So yeah, this package, this watch list package, it will be yours complimentary. That will be put in whatever um, trading platform you decide to use, and we'll talk more about that during orientation, but you will be far ahead by having that. You don't have to worry about doing a whole bunch of research. Everyone else, if you register later, you'll get a watch list that we recommend. It will include things like the Mag 7 and some other companies, but it will not be broken down. You'll have to do that yourself. So the other thing is, if you are interested in upgrading to the RAIN Society, which includes all of our workshops, you can go ahead. That will be an option when you check out. It's at a discount right now, and you'll be able to access the vault. You will also be able to have a consultation with a fiduciary, right? Because we're not fiduciaries, but we bring fiduciaries in. I have since 2020. You could check the old playlist. We talked about cryptocurrency. Anyway, you can definitely check that out, but you will have access to the entire RAIN vault. Here's just some of the topics that we've covered since September: producing for income, positioning for income producing power. I've been talking all day, y'all. How to transform your wealth strategies by positioning assets to generate reliable income streams while maximizing tax efficiency and capital growth potential. How to invest like the wealthy, insider's edge. The only way you can get insider's edge is if you're talking to an insider. I'm not an insider. Hakeem is an insider. owns his own wealth firm with hundreds of millions of dollars under asset management. Like these are the people that know what the market is going to do before CNBC knows what it's going to do, right? So multiplying and protecting your wealth is another topic. You can, come back and read that later. Also, how to master portfolio monitoring, know when to pivot, adapt globally, and build your insider network. Then there's a whole session on the world change while we were scrolling, and it's all about AI, where we were, where we are, and how we need to acclimate, right? Then you'll also get the replays on how to make money. Listen, if you don't have money, if you think you don't have money to trade, there's ways to make money to trade. And that's by designing your own 5-figure plus income blueprint based on your natural gifts. And I don't care what anyone says, that's real. I'm a empath. Excuse me, I'm a rock with empath tendencies. Naturally, I'm supposed to be coaching. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And then if you want to get into my life path number, I'm a number 7. Y'all can look that up, see what that means. Look up your life path number. Just put in your birth date. You'll also get the replays for our Brunch and Learn workshop. If we can legally move abroad, you can do too. And we also talk about medical tourism, which is more people I don't think people realize how much we're going to need medical tourism. And so pretty much that's the end. Like I said, the link is in the chat. If you are listening, let me stop sharing. There is a bit.ly that you can use. Oh, is that what it is? The bit.ly is bit.ly/HTPO. The letter H, the letter T, the letter P, the letter O. High trading probability only. That's what it stands for. Lowercase bit.ly/HTPO. Or you can go ahead and use this. Take a screenshot to register. Again, the price goes up tomorrow at 11:59. Well, you have until 11:59 p.m. So let me just bring up one of the trades because that's what I promised to do. And I want to show you like one of my favorite stocks to trade. Well, let me not say that. It follows a certain pattern that I appreciate. And I want you to see kind of what I'm talking about. Okay. Here is the chart, and the company is Amazon. Okay. I just want to make sure that you are seeing the same screen that I'm seeing because I have multiple screens open, and then we're going to get into, yep, that's it. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this. Is this, we're going to do one day. And then we're going to show you. Some of y'all may remember what this is. Okay, I was about to say that's not my chart. Okay. My favorite trading pattern is, but let me just restate. All gaps are not created equal. So let's just show you how it's all about waiting, charting, setting the alerts, and waiting for your thesis to come to you. Okay. So, so I told you we can also, I'll just start with the shorting gap. So, mhm, I'm sorry, y'all. Just want to make sure. No, let's just start here because it's the first I see. So this is called the gap. All right. Oops. Come on. On this side is the price of the stock. Down here are the dates. Here is a buyer's gap. But that's not the only type of gap it is. I'm saying buyer's gap because that means buyers sent this price up so fast that it created a gap. But the first time it came to fill the gap, right? Meaning the sellers came in and they came in strong, they created a gap. But once it filled the gap, there was a predictable move that was going to happen, right? And look exactly what happened. And the thing is, there's a couple of resistance before it hits this resistance up here. But depending on the time, like it could have been, we see earnings was there. There's other things that play a part in. And then also this year, Amazon, played ball with the White House. And so there was some other things that gave confluence that this was going to go the right direction. So once it filled the gap, you could have got in at 155 and got out at 190 something, right? So let's just say a $50, $40 profit per share. If you had 10 shares, that's $400. That pays a bill. That pays an airline ticket. Now that's just, you know, 10 shares, right? If you would have had 100 shares, that's $4,000. There's no place else that will give you that type of return than the market. Now, there are also times that you just have to be patient. Like you cannot be emotional and just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna get in. I'm just gonna let it keep riding, because guess what? That doesn't always happen like that. You need to have stop losses, you need to have points of entry, points of exit, and you need to stick to that. And especially when you're doing high probability trading, because 7 to 8 out of your trades are going to be right anyway. So if you go against the strategy, you are setting yourself up for some sad, hard times. So let's just find another gap, because I did see another gap. Here we go. Well, that's not a gap up. Let me find the gap up. So yeah, but that's not okay. So like I said, all gaps aren't created equal, but you could have still kind of did this one, right? Here's a gap up. When it came back into the gap, there was some consolidation. It dipped a little lower. So if you would have got in when it filled the gap at $93, you would have had to ride it down to $81. But that's still usually stop losses. I, I, this is what I do. No less than 20 percent. So, especially because I trade high probability trades. So I would have just had to wait, right? So if I would have got in here on February 27th, for me to get a decent profit back, I would have had to wait till April, right? But if I continued to hold, and depending on what was happening, we know this was around the panorama. So there may have been some other indicators that would have had me hold, and I could have made $30, per share if I would have held. And I'm going to just do one more gap on the down, because you can short stocks, right? And I don't know how much this is going to bring. And this isn't, sorry, this isn't yeah, that's okay. So when this went and gap down, that means sellers came in and just started selling, so much so that it created this gap. Once it filled the gap, right? The indication was, or based on technical analysis, you would expect it because there's so many sellers here. It couldn't get through that. So you could have gotten up here at 176, shorted, and wrote it down to 160, 158, 159, somewhere around that. So again, not as much of a return, but it's still, like I said, income. And it's relative because if somebody has $10,000 on that trade, then that's more money than if somebody has 1,000, right? So it depends upon how much you have to trade. The great thing is, especially, and I say this about when people say I'm too old to learn, people that have discretionary income tend to be older, but they're just letting it sit in a bank account, getting a couple percentage points. I just talked about 30, 40, 50% even during the webinar through the examples that we gave. And you'll see it happen here. Child, this is November 2022. Gap down, didn't quite fill, touched it, went back down. But then once it filled, you would have known you could have come in to short. And then there's other things you have to look at, like how strong this buy, point of entry is, but you could have, shorted it from 112 down to, you know, 90. Now that's, more than 10%, closer to 20%, and that's a great return. And so again, we are only talking about taking strategic, high probability trades only, right? The other great thing is once you learn these strategies, if you want to then go to learn options, it's the same strategies. These are still high probability trades. It's just you then have to learn how to understand the options chain. And that's a whole different strategy on points of entry and points of exit. And so again, another one here, another gap up. Once it, so yeah, there are just, Amazon used to be, and still is, this year is just interesting with the Magnificent Seven. But Amazon used to print money regularly. And so I think, let me see, was there anything else? Yeah. So if you're interested in joining, you have until, I don't know how long we're going to keep it open. Oh, definitely till we fill those. And I thought I had my phone with me to check to see if anybody else registered. But definitely once we fill those other 5 seats, we're closing. But if we don't fill the 5 seats before Sunday, then we'll have a couple more days because those replays will be available. It's just the orientation week, so it's not strategy. So you're not missing a lot, but you will have access to the replays and your toolkit to get ready for week 1 of strategy. So that's all I got. Let me just see. I don't know if there's any questions. Nope, don't see any questions. So with that being said, again, the $300 early discount is, I see the word question, but I don't see a question. The $300 early discount is available until 11:59. No, so that's the thing. So it's not going to be each Sunday. Well, it's going to be the weekend. So what we're waiting to do is once you register, we send out a Q&A. And then also during this Sunday, we'll ask because I don't know, Andrea and I don't know where everybody's living. So somebody, if most of the class is in the West Coast and we're on the East Coast, we have to accommodate the West Coast. So we're going to figure out the best day and time for everyone who, and it's a small group, so it's not going to be that difficult to do. And we may, based on if there's someone that wants to do it at 7 o'clock on Sundays PM and somebody else that wants to do it at, 4 o'clock on Sundays, and it's 50-50, then we'll just have to, blend it up. So we don't have Sunday orientation is the only firm locked in day. And we were still waiting to see what time would work best because we also know that's the day that people go to church. And it's also the first Sunday after the holidays. So we're thinking maybe later the better, but we're waiting to fill the class and ask everybody and base it on that. But I'm more sure than not that it will probably be Sunday evening, just based on some of the people that I know that registered already. So for the orientation. But I don't want anyone to think that if you missed the orientation, you missed anything because literally the orientation, once you sign up, you're going to get an email with the entire toolkit, right? Well, the toolkits that we're going to use. And that's what we're going to review on Sunday that's coming, Sunday the 30th. And then after that, the replay will be up until the next, session. So you can watch the replay and we will definitely make sure. Yeah, church. Yeah, church is definitely, listen, I may not go live every Sunday, but I try to do my bedside Baptist when I can, and especially with the winter time. I did go 2 weeks ago, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see if I make it tomorrow. But yeah, so we definitely understand that. And I'm, you saw that I don't know if you saw, but I do, also go to church. So I get it. So we definitely want to make sure that um we accommodate everyone for that. So yeah. So again, if anybody is interested, go ahead. There's the you could scan that and it takes you straight to the page. But I do want to overemphasize that the 997 goes up on Monday. It's a lot that we're doing, and we are making ourselves available because we know that this time, this day, this age requires it. And we could have did a 4-week trial. I'm seeing so many people. Another reason, and I said this in the webinar earlier, we had to come and do this because there are people out here just taking people's money. I saw this girl who has a $3,000 4-week course, encouraging people to use margin. And that's one of her selling points. You don't have to use your own money to make money. You can use the bank's money. Margin is credit. Like you owe the bank. Now, if your trade goes against you, let's just say you're using your money, that's one thing. But if you're using the bank's money, oh, if you don't pay them, we're talking high interest. It could be, well, we know interest rates is, going up crazy, high interest rates and everything. So I literally, and I said it earlier, like I don't snitch on people, but I wanted to snitch on her. I didn't know who I was going to snitch to, but I wanted to snitch. I wanted to call Jerome Powell myself and be like, but then, anyway, snitches get stitches. So, but again, I thought it was important for us to come and bring in a ethical trading. Now, we're not saying 100% trading, like every trade does not go your way, but that's what the capital preservation, the making sure that you have the stop losses, making sure that you're okay, that if 3 trades go against you, that you're only losing a little bit of money, right? And so anyway, I just really wanted to come in and share that. We did the webinar earlier, and I know it was early, so I said, let me come in and do this live. And Andrea, unfortunately, she is, oh shoot, I'm supposed to go exercise. Okay, it's not 3:00 yet. Yeah, so she will be back. I got to figure out what day, one day this week, and we may come back on live to talk about it if there are seats left. But she had a prior commitment, and I just want to make sure that we got this out to the masses. So anyway, let's stop complaining about the prices, the inflation. It's going to do what it's going to do, right? But what are we going to do? How are we going to sustain ourselves? And this is just one way. Like Andrea and I came talking about designing your 5-figure income not your $200 income. We each, in this day and age, with everything that's available, and Andrea is a AI guru, right? She trains on AI. There is no reason, no reason that we should not be making additional income, even if you have a job, especially with the way the prices are going and are going to continue to go, including healthcare premiums and healthcare in general. So anyway, that's enough on my soapbox. Hope to see you in class. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section later, and I will answer them. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Saturday and a good weekend. Take care. Bye.